If you've been listening to the headlines lately, it's easy to feel like Canada is caught in an economic storm with our largest trading partner turning unpredictable and hostile. But if I told you that behind the scene something remarkable is happening, despite the pressure from the orange fascist gangster, Canada isn't just surviving. We are strategically repositioning ourselves to emerge from this crisis stronger and more independent than we have been in decades. Today we are going to look past the daily drama and connect the dots on a series of brilliant moves that are securing Canada's future. This isn't about wishful thinking or left-wing propaganda of mine, as Americans and Canadian maggots frequently accuse me of. Not at all. It's about following the data, the deals, and the decisive leadership that is required building a more resilient Canada. A Canada that, despite best efforts by the American terror administration, resists to be ruined and broken to pieces. First, let's acknowledge the challenge. Trump trade wars have created massive uncertainty. But let's take a look at how we are responding while the US stresses its own economy with what can only be described as idiotic foreign trade policies, alienating allies and inviting retaliations. Canada is doing the hard and smart work of building bridges, and it's working. Just look at the latest job numbers. 60,400 permanent jobs created in Canada, while the US loses jobs left and right. Those aren't temporary gigs, those are careers for Canadians, a sign of underlying economic strength and confidence. This is the foundation we're building on, and the strategy is clear. Diversify, diversify, diversify. While we maintain our crucial ties with the United States as long as we have to, Prime Minister Carney is actively securing our future elsewhere. We are deepening trade and security partnerships with Europe, solidifying our alliance with Mexico against unilateral US actions, and engaging robust with the growing economy of the Asian Pacific like Australia and Indonesia. Now let's talk about one of the most complex but potentially rewarding puzzles: China. The Chinese ambassador to Canada recently made a very clear, very deliberate offer that China is willing to remove its ban on canola if Canada removes its tariffs on Chinese products. Let's just quickly recall our canola situation. Let's watch this clip.
Talks and our federal government talks with China about the canola situation with the tariffs on seed and the tariffs on oil and meal, which has stopped canola trade of canola to China completely. Anytime they're talking is good.
Can you talk to us a little bit about how devastating these tariffs have been on the industry?
Well, the damage is starting to show up now. Farmers are experiencing very low prices right now. They are just got the canola harvested for the most part. For the most part, it's in their bins. It's time to market that product now so that they can pay their bills and support their farm financially. And nothing is going to China, so the price is depressed. It's since these tariffs have come on, no grain or no canola has been going to China, whether it's seed, oil, or meal. And so the opportunity to market is very limited for farmers right now, and the price is low as a result. So it's not a good situation for them at this time of year.
Now let's see what China's ambassador to Canada, Wang Di, had to say when asked about the tariffs.
Products.
A few weeks ago, China's Premier and Prime Minister Carney met on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, the highest political level meeting between the two countries since 2018. With me now is China's ambassador to Canada, Wang Di. Hi, Ambassador. It's a pleasure to welcome you back to our studio. Thank you for making the time.
谢谢你再次请我来。
Thank you for inviting me again.
I'm going to start right away on the primary irritant between Canada and China right now, and that is the tariffs on electric vehicles and tariffs on canola and other agricultural products. I have a very simple question. Are the tariffs on Canadian agricultural products directly on there because of the EV tariffs?
Oh, we have eggs.
You have eggs, you have a snack.
I think the question you have raised touches the crux of the problems in our trade relations. I agree with what you said, that China's tariffs on Canadians' agricultural products are a countermeasure against the EV tariffs and the unilateral unjustified tariffs on China's steel and aluminum products. And I have said multiple times, if Canada is ready to correct these practices, China will also respond accordingly.
Can I follow up then and ask very bluntly, if Canada removes the tariffs on Chinese EVs, China will then remove tariffs on Canadian agricultural products?
So if Canada removes the unilateral unjustified tariffs on Chinese products, China will also reciprocate accordingly. And if the EV tariffs are removed, then China will also remove the tariffs on the relevant products of Canada.
And what does the ambassador say when asked if Canada would be naive to continue trusting China's canola market?
Of Canada.
So Canada maintains that those tariffs, or has maintained until very recently, I should say, that those tariffs are justified. I know that China does not feel that they're justified, as you just pointed out. I do want to ask, though, against the backdrop of the proposition from China to Canada, the one we discussed last time, of expanding our relationship based on, I believe, what you called mutual practical interests. Would it be naive of Canada to expand a relationship wherein, you know, for example, on canola, most of our canola goes to China, and you have used that specific agricultural good to essentially retaliate against Canada? Like you've used the fact that we depend on China as a primary export market to exploit it. Would it be naive of us to expand a relationship wherein that is what's happening?
Well, the essence of bilateral trade cooperation and trade relationship is mutually beneficial and win-win. If you look at the history of the past decades of China-Canada relationship, you will see that in trade, we have achieved fruitful outcomes. And these outcomes are the result of mutual respect and win-win cooperation and mutual benefit. And what I want to say is that the trade disputes between China and Canada are not caused by China. In China, we say the one who tied the knot should be the one who unties it. So China is not the one to blame in this whole process, in this whole situation. And the problem was caused by Canada. So if Canada took the initiative to correct its policies, China will adjust accordingly.
I understand.
But there is more, much more. As we all know, Canada has to get away from the US market. So here is what the ambassador thinks about a possible expanded economic relationship with China. And what China thinks how trade should work.
Right now, and the prospect that the government is considering is an expanded relationship with China, an expanded economic relationship with China. In canola, we have a prime example of a product that, you know, Canadians have decided should mostly go to China. And you use that fact, China uses that fact to hit back somewhere where you know it will hurt. And my question is more along the lines of, should we pursue a bigger relationship if that is the case?
Like what I have said, the essence of trade between two countries should be mutually beneficial and win-win. So as long as this spirit is upheld in trade and economic cooperation, then the cooperation will get better and better. But if this spirit is violated, then, and if one side only pursues its own interests while sacrificing the interests of the other party, then this trade cooperation, either it is with China, either it is with other countries, will not sustain.
If you hear that about how trade should work, do you think Ding Dong Donny has ever understood that concept? I think the following question is very interesting to talk about. Could there be a market for more oil and gas in China?
To China. There's a debate right now about a second pipeline, for example, to carry oil from Alberta to BC. If Canada were to be able to supply, let's say, double the amount of oil that it is right now, is there a market in China for that?
The energy cooperation will become a new growth, has already become a new growth point for China-Canada trade. And I have done some homework. After the TMX expansion project was opened, the import of oil, crude oil, by China from Canada has exceeded 1 million tons every month. And in June this year, this number was 1.56 million tons.
So can I put a fine point on it? Is there appetite in China for more Canadian crude oil?
China encourages more cooperation and investment in the energy sector between the Chinese companies and the Canadian counterparts. As long as Canada's energy products are market competitive, the door of the market of China will be open.
Finally,
This is a classic high-stake negotiation. The specific ask is for Canada to drop its tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, steel and aluminum. In return, China would lift its crucial tariffs on Canadian canola. That is not a midnight post on X or Lying Social, like we always see from the Orange Idiot, but an offer that has to be taken seriously. So, the million-dollar question is, should we do it? My opinion is yes. We should remove the tariffs on Chinese EVs. And before you think I've lost my mind, that move would ruin the Canadian auto industry. Let me explain this with some basics economic logics. Think about two different Canadian families. Family 1, low income, driving an old, polluting car. They are environmentally conscious, but their budget is tight. They look at EVs and see a price tag of $30,000 Canadian or more. It's completely out of their reach. Their only option is to keep driving their gas guzzler. Now imagine if they had access to a safe, low-cost Chinese electric vehicle. It would be a game changer for them, and for the environment too. Now family 2 has a higher income. They are in the market for a slick premium EV. Are they going to suddenly abandon a Canadian-made or German-made vehicle for a budget-friendly Canadian model? No. The vast majority will not. It's a fundamental rule of economics. Income-identified consumer groups and different product price groups seldom mix. People shop where they can afford to. By providing low-cost options, we aren't killing the premium market. No, we're growing the entire EV pie and helping Canadians who need it the most. Yep, It's that easy. And the payoff? The relief for our canola farmers would be enormous. Reopening that massive market would inject millions into our agriculture heartland. This is the very definition of a potential win-win, which is the only way international trade works sustainably. A deal where only one side wins is a deal that will surely collapse. And those are the only deals the orange fascist gangster makes. Deals where he is the only one that wins. Everybody else has to lose. While the China situation is unfolding, there is another even more promising frontier. India. We have a massive Indian diaspora in Canada. And frankly, India has never figured as largely in our trade as it should have. This country is on track to have the world's third largest economy. The neat stuff.
A long time. Sure did. Okay, well, let's move on to what you're really here for, talking politics. Of course, Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand in India. This is really interesting. First visit by a Canadian minister after 2 years of real strain on that relationship.
Well, in fact, she's got a heck of a week planned. So she's going to India and then China. And you look at it and you say, well, those are two countries going back to Huawei and the kidnapping of the two Michaels, and then, of course, with India and, you know, the murderer of someone who held Canadian citizenship on Canadian soil, attached directly to decisions made by Modi authorizing it. And you say, well, how can it be that we are dealing with these two markets? And I got a two-word answer for you, Donald Trump. Because the reality is that if Trump is going to increasingly deny access to the American market for Canadian small business, large business, traders, exporters, then we got to go looking for other markets. And China and India are two big markets. We can only go so far as stitching together little trade deals with Luxembourg and Costa Rica. You got to go where the fish are, and the fish are in India and China if you're talking about trade targets. So we're trying to thaw out relations there, but it highlights, I think, two things. One, the unease of doing this, because we've got to juggle these considerations domestically with how China and India conduct themselves and our discomfort with that, with our economic objectives. But also, we know that Trump will object. He's in the middle of a trade dispute with China that's been renewed and inflamed this week. So it's a constant juggling exercise, and it just serves to underscore how hard it is to deal in this new world where the rules of the game for international trade appear to be completely jumbled and jostled and change on a whim, largely by those in the White House.
It's
Rebuilding that relationship after its recent challenges, a whole of a government exercise. It involves diplomacy, business, and academia. But the potential is staggering. Geopolitically, both Canada and India have so much to gain by working together. This isn't just about replacing what we might lose with the US. It's about tapping into a growing engine for the 21st century. So let's connect all the dots. While the orange idiot ruins the US and tries to force the entire world into a zero-sum game where only he must win, Canada is playing a different, much smarter game. We are engaging with Europe, the Asian Pacific, Mexico, and carefully navigating relationships with giants like China and India. This is how you create 30,400 permanent jobs in a challenging time. This is how you ensure that Canadian farmers, automakers, and workers have multiple pathways to prosperity. Not just one dependent on a volatile partner to the south. The message I want you to take away is this. We will get through this, not by hunkering down, but by reaching out. Not by mirroring Trump's isolatism, but by championing Canada's openness. We are in the midst of a great economic rebalancing. And if we play our cards right, we will emerge on the other side not just intact, but stronger, more stubborn and more prosperous than we have ever before. No, it can't be done in a week or two. So give Carney and his team some slack here. They are the best for the job. They work very hard to make this happen. And it's going to happen. So what do you think? Is engaging with China on EVs the right move? How big of an opportunity is India for Canada? I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you believe in a confident, forward-looking future for Canada, then please like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next analysis. Thanks for watching. Till next time, I'm Wilfried Lemkuller from Europe Curious.
You by our side, and we spent so many nights thinking how you did us wrong. Now we've banded all together. Your tariff made us strong, and so you know you're not so great. There's not a snowball's chance in hell will be your 51st state. You really need our resources for more than we need you, so now just go. Walk out the door. We do not need you. You're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who instigated these trade fights? You'll soon grow to regret it when we turn off your lights and it does. We will survive. As long as we can think and what we know will stay alive. We have all we really need. We can live without your greed. We will survive. We will survive. There's mission. It's time anew. We're not that fledgling little country stealing all of you. We are now a nation proud that is happy to be free. We didn't realize you gave us our own identity, so now just go. We will survive. As long as we can think and work, we know we'll stay alive. Yeah, but all we really need, we can live without your greed. We will survive. We will survive. We will survive.
51st state, my fucking ass. Go on, Canada.